Hello, my friends. Welcome back to EduTalks. I'm Sophia, and I'm really happy you're here with me again today. And before we start today's lesson, I just want to say thank you. Many of you have been sharing your thoughts, your progress, and your experiences in the comments. I read them, and honestly, it makes me very happy to see how seriously you are working on improving yourself. Every message, every comment, and every small success story reminds me why this community is so special. Some of you say you are practicing every day. Some of you say you are trying to change your habits. And that kind of effort is truly powerful. So thank you for being here and for continuing this journey with me. Now, let me ask you something important. Have you ever felt like your mind is not under your control? You sit down to do something important, maybe study, work, or focus on a goal. But suddenly your mind wants to check your phone. You open social media for 1 minute, and before you realize it, 30 minutes are gone. You try to focus again, but your thoughts keep jumping from one thing to another. One small problem appears, and your entire mood changes. Maybe you tell yourself, "Tomorrow I will be more disciplined." But tomorrow comes, and the same pattern repeats again. If this feels familiar, you are not alone. Many people believe they are lazy or weak when this happens. But the truth is something very different. The real problem is not laziness. The real problem is that most people never learn how to guide their mind. Instead of controlling their thoughts start controlling them. And in today's video, I'm going to share a very simple way to change that. No complicated theories, just practical ideas you can understand and apply in your daily life. All right, let's begin. Part 1. Notice what your mind is doing. Before you try to control your mind, you first need to understand something very important. Most people are not actually aware of what is happening inside their mind. Thoughts appear automatically, one after another, from morning until night. And because this process feels normal, people rarely stop to observe it. The moment you wake up in the morning, your mind already begins talking. Sometimes it says things like, "I'm tired," or "Today will probably be stressful." Sometimes it reminds you of a mistake you made yesterday. Sometimes it jumps straight into worries about the future. But here is the interesting part. Most people never stop and ask themselves a simple question. Where did this thought come from? They simply accept the thought as truth. And when you accept a thought as truth, it immediately begins influencing how you feel. When your feelings change, your behavior also begins to change. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you send an important message to someone. Maybe it is a friend, a colleague, or someone you care about. You expect a reply soon, but after 1 hour, there is still no response. Then 2 hours pass. At this point, your mind begins creating explanations. It might say, "Maybe they are ignoring me," or perhaps, "Maybe they are upset with me." Sometimes your mind even says, "Maybe I did something wrong." Notice what happens next. Your emotions begin to shift. You might feel uncomfortable. You might feel nervous or even slightly sad. But if you stop for a moment and look at the situation honestly, something surprising becomes clear. You actually do not know the real reason. Maybe they are busy. Maybe they are driving. Maybe their phone battery died. Maybe they simply did not see the message yet. But your mind created a story, and because you believed it, your mood changed. This is why awareness is so powerful. The moment you start observing your thoughts, you create a small space between the thought and your reaction. That small space may seem insignificant, but it gives you something extremely valuable. It gives you choice. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin responding consciously. Think of your thoughts like birds flying across the sky. They appear, they move, and eventually they disappear. You are not the bird. You are the sky that allows the bird to pass. When you understand this difference, your relationship with your thoughts begins to change. A simple way to practice this is by sitting quietly for a few minutes each day. Close your eyes and simply watch your thoughts. Do not try to stop them. Do not judge them. Just notice them. At first, this may feel strange because most people are not used to observing their own mind. But with practice, something interesting begins to happen. You become less controlled by your thoughts. And once you become aware of your thoughts, you can finally begin guiding them in a better direction. Now let's move to the second step. And this step can completely change how you treat the voice inside your mind. Part 2. Question the voice inside your mind. Now let's talk about the second step. And this step is extremely important if you want to take control of your mind. Just because a thought appears in your mind does not automatically mean that it is true. Your brain produces thousands of thoughts every day. Some of them are useful, some of them are neutral, and some of them are simply inaccurate or exaggerated. But the problem is this: most people never question their thoughts. They assume that whatever the mind says must be correct. And the moment you believe every thought without questioning it, you slowly give away your power. Think about it this way. Your mind is like a storyteller. It constantly tries to interpret situations and create explanations. Sometimes these explanations are helpful, but other times they are simply guesses. Let's imagine a situation. You are working on something important, and suddenly you make a mistake. It might be a small error, but immediately your mind reacts. It might say something like, "You always mess things up." Now pause for a moment. Is that really a fact? Or is it just a dramatic statement from your mind? Most of the time, it is simply a dramatic statement. When a negative thought appears, try asking yourself 3 questions. First, ask yourself, is this thought completely true? Second, ask, do I have clear evidence for this idea? And third, ask, if my best friend were in this situation, what would I say to them? This third question is surprisingly powerful. When our friends make mistakes, we usually speak with kindness and understanding. We remind them that one failure does not define them. We encourage them to try again. But when we speak to ourselves, the tone is often much harsher. Instead of saying, "I made a mistake," we say, "I am a failure." Those 2 sentences may look similar, but emotionally they create very different results. One sentence closes the door to improvement. The other keeps the door open. Your mind often exaggerates problems because it is trying to protect you from future disappointment. If you once failed at something, your mind may try to convince you not to try again. It believes that avoiding risk will keep you safe. But real growth rarely happens inside comfort. Sometimes, the most powerful response you can give to your mind is calm curiosity. When a negative thought appears, you can respond with something simple like, "That is one possibility, but it is not the only possibility." Over time, your mind begins learning a new pattern. It realizes that you are no longer accepting every thought automatically. And slowly, the negative voice inside your mind becomes quieter. You are not trying to destroy your thoughts. You are simply learning to evaluate them. And once you begin doing that, your confidence starts growing from within. Now let's move to the third step, and this step will help you guide your mind in a much more intentional direction. Part 3. Guide your attention carefully. The third step is about something extremely powerful: your focus. There is a simple rule that influences almost every part of your mental life. Your mind tends to move toward whatever you focus on repeatedly. In other words, your attention acts like a spotlight. Whatever it shines on becomes brighter and more noticeable. If your attention constantly focuses on problems, those problems will begin to feel bigger and heavier. But if your attention focuses on solutions and possibilities, your sense of confidence begins to grow. Think of your mind like a magnifying glass. Whatever you place underneath it becomes larger in your perception. Let's imagine two people experiencing the same difficult situation. Both of them lose their job on the same day. It is an unexpected and challenging moment for both of them. But their focus is completely different. The first person keeps repeating the same thought again and again. This is terrible. My life is falling apart. Nothing ever works out for me. Every time he repeats these thoughts, his energy decreases. His motivation slowly fades. Eventually, he stops looking for opportunities because he already believes the situation is hopeless. Now look at the second person. This person also feels the difficulty of the situation. Losing a job is never easy. But instead of focusing only on the problem, he asks a different question. What can I learn from this? Maybe it is an opportunity to develop new skills. Maybe it is a chance to explore a different career path. Maybe it is the beginning of something better. The situation is identical, but the focus is completely different. And because the focus is different, the future also begins to change. Focus influences emotions. Emotions influence actions, and actions influence results. That is why attention is such a powerful tool. But here is something important to understand. Your brain is naturally designed to notice problems. Thousands of years ago, this ability helped humans survive dangerous environments. Detecting threats quickly was essential. But in modern life, this habit often creates unnecessary worry. That is why you must guide your attention intentionally. When something difficult happens, pause for a moment. Take a slow breath and ask yourself a simple question. What can I learn from this experience? That one question shifts your mind from helplessness to curiosity. And curiosity is a much more productive state than fear. Over time, your mind begins trusting your guidance. Instead of automatically reacting to every challenge, you begin responding with greater clarity. And that leads us to the final step, which helps strengthen your mind every single day. Part 4. Strengthen your mind through daily practice. Now let's bring everything together. Understanding your mind is important, but real change happens through consistent practice. Just like physical strength improves with regular exercise, mental strength grows through daily habits. One powerful habit is checking your focus throughout the day. Ask yourself simple questions such as, what am I paying attention to right now? Or, is my focus helping me or hurting me? This small moment of awareness can redirect your thoughts before they begin influencing your mood. Remember the principle we discussed earlier. Whatever you focus on tends to grow in your mind. If you repeatedly focus on fear, your fear becomes stronger. If you focus on growth and learning, those qualities begin expanding as well. Your thoughts influence your emotions. Your emotions influence your actions, and your actions gradually shape the direction of your life. Another important practice is being mindful about what enters your mind. Every day, we absorb information from many different sources: social media, news, conversations, and entertainment all influence our thinking. If most of the information you consume is negative or stressful, your mind will naturally feel heavier. But when you intentionally expose yourself to ideas that encourage learning, curiosity, and improvement, your mental environment begins to change. This does not mean you must ignore reality or pretend that problems do not exist. It simply means you choose to balance your attention. Feed your mind with ideas that support growth. Read things that inspire you. Listen to conversations that challenge you to improve. Spend time with people who encourage progress. Little by little, These influences begin shaping the way you think. And here is an important truth to remember. You do not need to control every thought that appears in your mind. That would be impossible for anyone. The real skill is learning to choose which thoughts deserve your attention. Notice them, question them, and guide your focus toward thoughts that help you grow. Over time, these small mental habits begin creating large changes. Your reactions become calmer, your decisions become clearer, and your confidence begins coming from within instead of depending on outside situations. The journey toward mastering your mind does not happen overnight, but every moment of awareness moves you one step closer. Start practicing today, and gradually you will discover that guiding your mind is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Before we finish this video, let's quickly remember the most important ideas we talked about today. First, notice your thoughts. Most people move through their day reacting automatically to whatever appears in their mind. But when you start observing your thoughts instead of immediately believing them, something powerful happens. You create a small space between the thought and your reaction. And inside that space, you begin to find control. Second, question what your mind tells you. Just because a thought appears in your mind does not mean it is completely true. Many thoughts are simply quick interpretations created by your brain. When a negative idea appears, pause for a moment. Ask yourself if it is really true. Look for real evidence and try speaking to yourself with the same patience and kindness that you would show to a good friend. Third, guide your focus carefully. Whatever you focus on repeatedly becomes bigger in your life. If your attention stays on problems all the time, stress slowly grows. But when you begin focusing on solutions, learning, and possibilities, your confidence begins to grow as well. So the idea is simple. Notice your thoughts, question them, and guide your focus in a better direction. These small mental habits may seem simple, but over time, they can completely transform the way you think and the way you respond to life. All right, my friend, thank you for spending this time with me today. If this video helped you understand your mind even a little better, that means you are already moving forward. Now, before you leave, I want to show you something that can help you continue learning with me. If you enjoy these kinds of lessons and want to keep improving step by step, take a look at the video on the right side of your screen. Click that video and continue the journey with me. It will help you strengthen your mindset and develop better thinking habits every day. This is Sophia from EduTalks. Keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep trusting your ability to improve. I'll see you in the next video.